Yeah, my name is Chen. I'm from Newcastle now. I used to live in Brisbane. Um, my research is about consumer initiated phenomenon. Um, so today, actually, I was invited to give this talk, and I scratched my head and think about I got a bunch of people full of rich experiences. What can I offer here as academic? Um, I think individually, all of you have very rich experience in your field. And I'm hoping that maybe what I can do is bring you a more holistic view about what consumers co-create in different business settings. So this is my PhD topic actually. It's called The Rise of Co-Created Consumers. And today what I'm going to talk about would be who are they? What do they do? Why drive them and motivate them to continuously to co-create? So I start to think about how I can offer some relevant insight to my audience. So first I look at the topic, and that's design, interactive, and green tech. My research happened to be co-creation through experience sharing for betterment. And let me just explain a little bit of those jargons. So I'm looking at the phenomenon that consumers share their experience either with other consumers or firms, and it happens a lot in today's business setting. We look at people are more engaging, and firms, they always want to engage more people. And I will talk about why firms want to engage more people, and is that a good thing? And also, my research interest is also about the betterment. The betterment is about the individual and the society well-being, and also the sustainability of the company. So other than looking into a transactional relationship, I look at the more long-term goals for individuals and also community and business. So in the outset, I was watching the TED Talk just to get an idea what kind of format that I should expect when I'm on the stage. Apparently, you got this giant TV. I look very small on the stage. So I start to think about, okay, what drives co-creation? Why we actually start to see consumers in a different light? Why it's important now consumer become more co-creative? So these are the business phenomenon, the business model, and the consumption practices that I gathered together to demonstrate actually because the new business practice and also the way we consume that drive us to become more co-creative. For example, any of you are involved in developing this type of research services? That's called sharing economy, the collaborative consumption. The basic idea is if you as a consumer or the business that you got abundant, not the resources, the spare resource that you have, for example, like your time, your skill, your knowledge, then you like to have a platform that you offer these resources, spare resources to other people so they can actually better use these resources when you have no use of it. So the idea of collective consumption is about focus on access to the service and goods other than the ownership of it. So you might not own a car, but you can go to somewhere on the street and you apply for a swipe card, and there is a car called car company called GoGet. You got the car, you swipe the card, and then you access to the car, but you don't own it. But you use it when you need it, and you use it when other people don't need it. And also there are other examples like this park at my house. That means if you have a garage and you're not using that, then you rent it out. You have a platform for people to co-create, to share their spare resources. Also, you got the local guiding, are people who want to share their passions about the local information. So you can put yourself up as a tour guide, and then people come to find, if they come to Newcastle, they want to know about Newcastle history, that you can offer this service to them. Because you got the spare time, maybe you got the knowledge. And then you can share them, because it's not just about money or a way of earning money, but it's also about the passion. We also have, it's called creating shared value, and also called B corporate. And B corporate stands for benefit corporate. And in the business setting, that means these businesses are no longer just looking at making money and be responsible for your for shareholders. They are actually looking at the triple bottom line. They look at the balance of how you actually be responsible for the environment and for your social responsibility, and also obviously the financial responsibility for your stakeholder. And why this drive co-creation? Because now you are not only responsible for the people are your shareholders, you are actually be responsible for people in the society. Then you have to liaise with your suppliers, you have to liaise with the community members to better understand their needs. So that also drives the co-creation. Obviously, we are in this innovation phase. So you also look at the open innovation and the crowdsourcing, where you use external resources to perform a task for your company, or you complete a task for a special cause. So they also drive the co-creation. And the other way to look at it, more theoretical way, is think about as a consumer and as a business, why we want to co-create. In a consumption situation, we got the business in the lower part. We want to engage our customers. We want to get a better value proposition for them. We want them to be in the consumption settings. They can share that experience with other people. And when they finish their use, when they go to talk to their friends about their experience, you want them to talk about your services. So the more engaged in this process, that means your offer is more valuable for them. So the company wants you to be more engaged in that process. At the same time, as a consumer, we want more for our money. So we want to personalize this offer. So we try to rebundle these value propositions. For example, like you have the mobile phones, it's good that you can pick and choose your apps and make it specially, individually for you. You also look at the repurpose. Once you have purchased a good or services, you want to use it for different purpose in the different settings. And also, when you finish the use of it, maybe you try to get the most out of it. You might have a mobile phone you give to your parents or your kids, or you sell it on eBay. So this also drives co-creation. But is there a conflict between companies want to co-create with consumers and consumers want to co-create with other consumers? Because we all know we feel more comfortable that we have a relationship with our friends and families than with the company. And let me give you some successful stories about the true co-creation between firms and customers. This one is called Nike ID. So it satisfies the rebundle and the value proposition co-production. That's where you can pick and choose the small element like the colors, the design of your shoes. So you actually are bundling the value proposition available for you and personalize in a way to suit your own preferences. You also have this called Threaders. It's a t-shirt design company, okay? And that reflects on the repurpose and also the co-consumption. So now, to buy a t-shirt is not just about being cool, being interesting, but it's also about social. You can rate this t-shirt and see other people's rating. You can also sponsor a better cause for these designers. So you have multiple purpose when you purchase this t-shirt. So at the same time, you also co-consume this t-shirt. And the third example is a swap. It's about reuse and value collaboration. So once you finish the item, for example, a DVD, for example, that may be True Blood, and you don't want to watch it again, but you happen to want to watch Sex and the City. But what happened? You don't have it, and you don't want to pay for it. So you go to this website and swap it with someone who wants the True Blood. So you make the better use of what you got. Again, you share your resources. So these are the examples that tell us that consumers now are performing co-creation anywhere and in every setting. So who are they? So in the traditional marketing, we already talked a little bit about the opinion leaders, the lead users, the marketing mavens. So the co-creative consumers, they provide a service to other consumers and they share the experience and they desire new experiences. Like what was said by our previous speakers. The people looking for new things, better things, and it's looking for the experience, is experience-centric. So from my research, I found these co-creative consumers, they are not everyone, but it can be anyone. It can be you in a different setting, different context. So it's about, will you be able to have the knowledge and ability to anticipate the need of others? Then you provide a service to satisfy these people's need. So I talk about what do co-creative consumers do. So they perform experience sharing. It's quite important to have this concept to differentiate the ordinary consumers and co-creative consumers. They are the ones who know what they want, had the experience about the offerings, want to get a new and better deal. And they believe through sharing, through this setting, they will be able to get that at the end to fulfill the value they desire for. So you can see from the model, these co-creative consumers, I call them value initiators. They are the ones directly share experience with each other. Then they influence each other about their preference, about their perceived value, even their value systems. So what do they share? In my research, we also ask the question, so if you share about experience, what exactly do you share? So most of the time, people share something interesting. You can see from the Facebook, people constantly share a lot of the content, regardless you want it or not. They think that's interesting, they push it to you. Or they share something not intended by service providers. So they say, okay, I don't like my car used in this way, so I'm going to change it. I would like to share how I change it to people. And also what works in personalized context. So there are something that Only I use it in that way, and I would like to share with other people. Let me give you some examples. The first one is Pinterest. Anyone use Pinterest here? Yeah? So you are sharing something very interesting, you think, with these people, right? How about this? Have you seen this new ad about to get rid of the stain? So it's about how you use it in a way that's not intended by service provider. So maybe you use the navy sand to get rid of certain things that maybe the navy sand didn't tell you that you're supposed to do it that way. You also have this Vegemite, and they talk about how you like to eat your Vegemite, right? You have different ways. So you are sharing something that personal, suitable for you, a unique way of eating Vegemite. So we are constantly sharing different things. And that's why we say we can all be co-creator, but it's in the different settings then let us become that co-creator. All right, so something more serious about this topic is firms are consistently want to engage the customers. But is it always the good thing to maximize the number of people engaged with you? First, it's going to require a lot of resources to reach those customers, to understand them, to better interact with them. Because once they engage, everyone wants a piece of you. It's like making friends on Facebook. If you add too many people, it becomes meaningless. So the question is, why we engage consumers and customers in our co-creation process? And most of the time, we want them to be our resources. We want their time, we want their network, we want to know who are their friends, so we can better target these people. But how about learning? How about experience sharing? So it could be not just about use your customers as resources. You can also learn from them. Okay, for example, learn from them in which context is suitable and appropriate when they use your offer. And also, you can also ask your customers, and they may be voluntarily to do so, to become your helper. So they go on the online forum and answer a question for you to solve people's problems. And that's about sharing their experiences. So in that sense, we can't just look at resource integration. We have to look at learning perspective and co-creation as experience sharing, and communicate with these consumers what we want from you. And let me give you an example. If you don't do that, what will happen? So have you seen this episode about Homer Simpson? I think he found a lost half brother and happened to have a big company to manufacture the car. And he said, hey, you are the ordinary people, so you must be able to relate yourself with other ordinary people. So come to work for me and build a car. So that's the car he built. And there are a lot of cases like this, especially in social marketing. People will have campaigns using Twitter and Facebook and say, hey, for example, like Qantas, say, please share with us your experience about what's your dream journey or trip with Qantas. And it became a disaster at the time that people, I think there was a strike. So people start to use that as a platform and start to badmouth Qantas. You can't control your consumers, because if you don't communicate with them what do you want, and they're more likely to do what they want. So it's very important to understand the cause why you want to engage your customers. And the last bit is about when they contribute, when they co-create, how do they feel? Why they want to continuously co-create? Maybe they do it this time. The challenge is how you communicate with them and convince them to continuously co-create with you. And the research I found is either is about access to resources, for example, like Kickstarters. So you go there, you have a project, you trying to get some funding. So you co-create in that platform. Or you feel a sense of empowerment, it's like a get up. So you are there, you're part of, for part of a good cause. You feel empowered, be together, you can do something different. So you would like to continuously co-create. Or a sense of belonging. So like Airbnb, it's not just about rent a flat cheaply. It's about people on the communities share, they rate each other, they help each other to find the accommodations. So a sense of belonging also would help to drive continuous co-creation. So this, what I was talking about, is about the environment, the macro environment to drive the need to co-create and consumer to be co-creators. And what do they do in terms of experience sharing and how they are motivated and should be taken seriously to communicate with these people for them to continuously co-create with you. And the last bit I would like to sum it up for something for you to take away is it's important. They don't need an institution. They don't need a company. They need a platform. Like what you see before, all those services are happening on the platform that people can socially connect it and they can contribute the resources they have. And you have to recognize there are asymmetric goals between consumers and firms and other consumers. People are complex. We can't pretend we work in the same way for the same cause. We have to better communicate. And also you have to treat most valuable customers as service providers. It's very important as when you provide a service to other people and you want to further engage the particular type of people called co-creative consumers. And do you see them as service provider, provide you a service? And if they do, if that's the case, how you maintain a relationship with them? And my advice is to maintain a relationship with them using a different set of revenue model. For example, some people don't want to make an effort, they just want to grab and go, then you ask them to pay for it. But if somebody wants to involve, engage with you, they want to help you, then maybe you can do things differently. Like a Google would give particular type of members the access to new services. They also give them a few quotas they can introduce their service to other people, all right? Or you can actually reward these consumers by extend the subscription period, for example. So you are renewing, extend the relationship with them. So the last bit is how to co-create. I think it's important we get better off by helping others to get better first, instead of co-create in a way they would want something from them first, and that would lead us go nowhere. Thank you very much.